So this is Nearcraft Season 2. This right here, this museum used to be a field of wheat. This is where the server began, and this is obviously where the lore began because of that. The first house was built over here, Rose's house. This was the first house built in Sniffershire, and this is what caused the whole town to be built around it, basically. Um, but I think if we're gonna start off with the lore really starts down here. This is the first FFS building. So I took Bredley's sniffer Blaorf down here and was like, oh, this is FFS. FFS was basically an animal rights group thing. It was like we are saving the sniffers. Um, Basically, the whole reason I made it up was just so I could take Bradley's sniffer and breed it with mine so we could have more sniffers. Um, but it led to some different things. First of all, because I took his sniffer, um, he took his sniffer back, and so I sued him for animal abuse. And that led to the first court case over here. This is the first courthouse I built with the help of, I forgot. Actually, I think it was Ender was just watching me build it, or maybe they were helping me, I don't remember. But yes, Rose was the judge, Bradley was defending, and I was prosecuting. And there was also Gecko, who actually, Gecko graffitied one of my signs. Right here. Oh, it's not here anymore. There used to be a thing saying, oh, here's donations for FFS. And Gecko was the editor. And so obviously he edited the sign. And I caught him red-handed and I sued him for graffiti. And I lost the case against Bradley, but I did win the case against Gecko. But the FFS stuff led to I obviously made the Sniffer Sanctuary, but I also made this Bee Sanctuary, which has been retired now. But basically I was like, oh, animal rights, so I should take all the bees around and put them in a safe place because the bees like to fly around and like drown in water and stuff. And so all the bees being in here led to a very easy food source of honey. Um, so that's something you'll definitely want to keep in mind for what I'm about to mention. Um, Over here, Orb wanted to be the mayor. And the logic was he lives in the mayor's house, so he must be the mayor. And so here's the mayor's house. And here's the town hall. So since Orb took over being mayor, people were kind of resisting it. There was the whole citizens against Orb thing. There's like a little campsite that used to be up here. Oh, it is still up here. Yeah, this used to be the citizens. Oh, it's still there. Okay. But before, I think Rose changed this. Before, it used to be like a little, like, fallen apart campfire and like stuff like that. Like it was unlit and there were like the chairs were like unused or whatever for a long time. But because Orb took over, I decided, oh, I've been pretending to be addicted to the honey. What if I decide that there's obviously state government, but then there's also the church. Church and state are usually opposing like sides of power in a country. And so I wanted to build a honey church based around my honey things, and that's what made the cathedral. Um there was the first honey festival, which was over there somewhere. Obviously it's not there anymore. But the first honey festival was basically announcing that we are going against Orb. And then I think the second Believer event after that was at the Mead Hall. The Mead Hall used to be here, but now it's right here. So the Believers had a last like feast before I went into my honey bee form. So basically the honey was affecting my body. So what happened is I made a cocoon which, or I guess chrysalis, which I like went inside of and like grew my wings and like antennas and stuff, my bee wings. And that's when I became a full like honey believer with like the power of the bees or whatever. But yeah, Orb died, and whenever Orb died, oh yeah, so actually I should mention the believers were what is it? The believers killed, it was Gecko and Squirtle who killed all the people in the government. They killed Bradley and Orb, not Rose for some reason though. But since Bradley died, the original Bradley was permanently dead. And so when Bradley came back, it was Bradley Jr. I still don't know what's going on with this, but this was like the lore like symbol with Bradley. Bradley was a ghost for a little while after he died. So Bradley had a funeral in here. It's been redecorated to look like my funeral for when I died later, but Bradley as a ghost had a funeral. And then, oh yeah, actually that's a good point, is Dodo and Bradley went to like a swamp 1,000 blocks away for some reason, but they came back. After Bradley's funeral, he looked into the statue with the sunlight coming through, and he disappeared. And then Bradley Sr. came into existence. Not Bradley Sr., Bradley Jr. And Bradley Jr. was the pirate, with the pirate ship up there. But yeah, with the mayor dead, Rose was the mayor for a little while, but only just to take Orb's place since he was dead. We had a re-election for a new mayor, and Rose built this post office. Everybody put their ballots in here, and Bradley did a bit of a voter fraud and put in a bunch of fake ballots with his name in it, but obviously Rose didn't count those, and so I won as mayor, but Bradley was convinced that he had won because he put the fake ballots in. And so Bradley wanted to take the mayorship from me, and he put this pirate ship here to like intimidate me or be like, you know, taking over the town. But I think the point was that I had banished him from spawn, and he's like, oh, if I'm not touching the ground, then I'm not in spawn. And so because I was getting tired of the criminals, I made the IDC. For some reason, has like a closed thing, but the IDC was basically the government enforcing, like law enforcing people, and it was only Dodo who was in it, and I guess I was like in charge of it, but Dodo was like the head officer. And so the point of it was to like stop crime. And so when Bradley put the ship here, I changed the color scheme to be IDC color to be like, oh, thank you for the ship. And so I also put multiple wardens in there named Criminal Obliteration System, to kill any criminals who tried to go on the ship. And those wardens are gone. And then the rats, which I still don't know what is going on with the rats, why they started or how or what that's about. I think it's just people having fun with being weird superhero vigilante people, but they took over the ship. Eventually, though, I had a meeting with Balafrax and Bradley where we tried to offer Bradley a position of power in the government, but it didn't work. He wanted control over the whole town by himself because he is convinced he is the mayor. He did not want us to give him a position, which I knew was how it was going to go. I told Balafrax, but it didn't work. And so I don't remember what happened after that. There was a little bit of conflict, just hanging around for a while. I think this is where the server had a little bit of inactivity after that for a while. But eventually that led to me dying. I found a letter in my mail telling me to go to this place in the forest, and I flew there. And on the way there, my wings broke. Oh yeah, because that reminds me. So obviously with the criminals, Gecko got banished from spawn. And there was also the Honey Festival, which I completely skipped over on accident, I just realized. The Honey Festival was like a fall festival, basically. I think we called it the Harvest Festival, actually. But during the Harvest Festival, Rye tried to sneak Gecko into town to eat Bradley's corpse because he was starving. And um, I caught Rye in the act. And so both Gecko and Rye got banished. So that led to, so Gecko and Rye were gone. And because Rye got banished, Brick left. And so it was just me and Squirtle. And so that meant that there were less bee leavers, and so like the bees were losing power or whatever. And so they were making less honey. And so I had no food and I was starving. And I flew off in the distance somewhere near Dodo's place, and my wings broke because I guess I was tired from not eating honey. I was like starving to death. And so then the pirates tried to ambush me. And so I ran back to spawn with them chasing me. Then Brick and Rye tried to stop them. And on the way back, I was being chased up through this path until I got to here. And in here, I died. This is where I died. Bradley killed me, as always. And because he killed me, this is where the Ancient Ones come into play. After I died, I woke up down here, and the Ancient Ones told me I was an angel, and my whole purpose was to kill all the gods and stuff to free them from the void that they had been trapped in. And so I killed the Moss Mama in the Nether, which I think, honestly, all the gods that I killed, I destroyed them, but I didn't like permanently kill them. I think they can definitely be recreated in the lore later at some point if necessary. Um, because I don't want to limit other people's creative freedoms, especially since I just think it would be fun to bring some of those back again eventually. But yeah, I killed the Moss Mama. I killed the bees. Um, there were some other things I killed, but I forgot. And then I took a little break for a while, did some other stuff. Um, and Bradley became the mayor. He claimed himself to be the mayor at least. And when he did that, we gave him so many tasks that he didn't want to be mayor anymore. And then after that, um, oh yeah, when Rye, I completely forgot about this part because it was a very small part in a video, but after I kicked out Rye, they became a prophet of the dandelions. And so like the dandelions spoke to them or whatever, gave them a prophecy, which was basically about the end of the world and that the dandelions are going to take over, everybody's going to return to the earth, stuff like that. And so Brick and Rye were part of the dandelion people, and then the dandelions like spread everywhere, like at my base, Bradley's base, and Dodo's base. And then the Ancient Ones had me destroy those dandelions. And they also had me destroy the egg from season 1, which was like the like Haley's egg cult. Um and then that's when after that I think is where we finally get to the purge. So during the purge, this was actually, I guess this was technically before the purge, but Dodo um tried to create his factory really fast with like technology or whatever, but instead it like deleted the factory and like kind of deleted him from existence. um Now we get to the purge. During the purge, um basically me and Bradley teamed up because Bradley was like, oh, you're the only one who makes sense, I don't like these dandelion people. um And yeah, I think that's kind of where the lore ends. Basically what happened is we all teamed up together against JC and we lost. um but everybody returned to the earth. I returned to the earth especially because I fell from a high place. Like the earth claimed me, it pulled me back down out of the sky. Um if I'm missing anything, let me know in the comments, but I'm 90% sure that is everything. Except for my funeral, I guess, but that was a very brief thing that I think you guys get the point. I don't really have to go over that what happened because it was, a funeral. Yeah, I think that's everything.